Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Muhammad Hasnan, roll number 39 from 3rd semester evening. I hope you all people will be fine by the grace of Allah Almighty. Before going into the detail of the topic, I would like to mention that our topic have been divided into 3 group members, and the rest of the topics will be explained by my other group members, Muhammad Kubaib Khan and Muhammad Hamza Rahman. Let us move towards our topic. What is stress? Stress is the degree of force with which a syllable or a word is uttered. It is also defined as the degree of prominence a syllable has. Words with more than one syllables have a stressed syllable. For example, in table, first syllable is prominent. In committee and commended, second syllable is stressed. Why stress is crucial in English? Stress is crucial in English pronunciation. It can also be called a grammatical device in English. A part of the meanings of a word depends on stress. It serves to mark the function of words in spoken English. Why students are weak in using stress? Most of our students learn English grammar from books. That's why their sense of stress remains undeveloped. They should be kept in mind that English words are pronounced with one dominant syllable, while the other syllables tend to get squashed or reduced. Where do I put word stress? There are some rules about which syllable to stress, but the rules are rather complicated. Probably the best way to learn is from experience. Listen carefully to spoken English and try to develop a feeling for the music of the language. When you learn a new word, you should also learn its stress pattern. If you keep a vocabulary book, make a note to show which syllable is stressed. Nature of stress. If we talk about the nature of stress is simple enough that everyone can understand. Words like father, open, camera have first labels as stressed. In potato, apartment, and relation, middle syllable is stressed, whereas in about, receive, and perhaps, final syllable is stressed. Levels of stress. There are 3 levels of stress. Number 1, primary level. Number 2, secondary level. And number 3, tertiary level. And tertiary level can also be defined as the unnecessary degree of complexity. Types of stress. So there are 2 types of stress. Number 1, word stress, and number 2, sentence stress. Word stress. It shows that what syllable in a word is stressed. For example, useful is stressed on the first syllable. Advantageous has a primary stress on first and secondary stress on third syllable. Sentence stress. It shows what words in a sentence are stressed. Syllable. Words can be cut up into units called syllables. Syllable is a unit of spoken language consisting of a single uninterrupted sound. Humans seem to need syllables as a way of segmenting the stream of speech and giving it a rhythm of strong and weak beats. Syllables exist only to make speech easier for the brain to process. A word contains at least one syllable. What makes a syllable prominent? So following are the factors that makes a syllable prominent. Number 1, loudness. Number 2, length. Number 3, pitch. And number 4, quality. So let us talk about loudness first. Many people seem to feel that stressed syllables are louder than unstressed. Loudness is a component of prominence. Number 2 is length. The length of a syllable has an important part to play in prominence. If one syllable is made longer, it will be heard as stressed. And number 3 is pitch. Every voiced syllable is set on some high pitch. It will produce an effect of prominence. And fourth and last one is quality. A syllable will become prominent if it contains a vowel different in quality. We can look on stressed syllables as occurring against a background of weak syllables. So, strong and weak syllables. So, actually, what are strong syllables and weak syllable? So, first we will discuss strong syllable. A strong syllable has rhyme, which either has a syllable peak, which is a long vowel or diphthong, or vowel followed by a coda, one or more consonants. For example, die, hurt, and bad. So what are weak syllables? Weak syllable has a syllable peak, which is a short vowel and no coda unless the syllable peak is ko. For example, re in reduce, be in herbicide, and pen in open. So parts of a syllable. So actually, what are the parts of syllable? How many parts does a syllable has? or can have. The parts are onset and rhyme. Within the rhyme, we find the nucleus and coda. Not all syllables have all parts. The smallest possible syllable contains a nucleus only. A syllable may or may not have an onset and a coda. So there is a diagram which will make the topic much more easier and clear for us. So a syllable has two parts: number one onset and number two rhyme. And rhyme has further two parts: number one nucleus and number two coda. This is all about from my side, and rest of the topic will be explained by my other group members. And thank you so much for your.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Muhammad Hamza Rahman, rule number 27 from evening session of third semester. I hope you will be all doing well. Before discussing my topic, I would like to mention that our topics have been divided into three group members. My presentation topic is weak form of sound, and the rest of the topic, syllable, stress and intonation, will be discussed by other group members Muhammad Khubaib, Khagwani and Muhammad Hasnan. Let's move towards my topic, weak form of sound. First of all, the definition of the weak form of sound. Weak forms are syllable sounds that become unstressed in connected speech and are often then produced as a shiva. For example, there is a sentence, what do you want to do this evening? In this sentence, the first two is the weak form, and we do not put any stress by uttering this word do. But when we utter second do, we put stress, and this is the strong form. What is Shiva? An unstressed mid-central vowel, such as the usual sound of the first and last vowels of the English word America. The first and the last word is the vowel sound that pronounced as a sound. The symbol that pronounced as a used for the Shiva sound and less widely for a similarly articulated stressed vowel, as in the word cut. For example, fish and chips is a phrase. If we say this slowly and stress each word, it sounds like fish and chips. The word and is pronounced fully with the pronunciation as a, sound like in the word cat. This does not sound natural because we are not using a weak form. Weak forms usually sound like so when we say fish and chips in weak form, we usually utter fish and chips. The grammar word and is not produced fully. It is unstressed and pronounced as n. When we use weak form of sound, we use weak form of sound when we use grammar words such as prepositions, articles, and conjunctions. These are connecting words. Why we should learn weak forms? We should learn weak form to improve our listening skills, especially to understand native speakers. We should learn weak form to improve our speaking skills. If we want to speak naturally, we should pronounce weak forms correctly. We should learn weak form to overcome our failure on weak forms will as weak failure on weak forms will affect our English rhythm. By learning weak form, we will avoid misunderstandings. And examples of Shiva sounds and weak forms. First is a that is produced as a sound instead of a sound. I have got a new dress. And the second example in which we use the short form of I am, this is also produce the Shiva sound. I am not going home. Am I? In the first am, I am, we use short form and produce Shiva sound by weak form of the sound. But by uttering While uttering second M, we use the complete word am with complete sound of a. The second example is that's an apple. When we use the short form of that is then we also does not stress on n. We just pronounce n. That's an apple. And the other example, we need some salt and pepper. We use n form of and, like the phrase of fish and chips. And the other example, do you have any money? And the last example is they are at school just now. That's all from my presentation. Thank you guys.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Khubaib Khan Khakwani, roll number 28. I'm a part of a group where two other members, I mean, keeping myself aside, two other members belong to, named as Muhammad Hasnan and Muhammad Hamza. And there are actually four topics that we had to prepare, named intonation, and the second one is weak formation of sound, and the rest of the two topics are stress and syllable that has been done by Muhammad Asnan. Weak formation of sound is prepared by Muhammad Hamza, and to 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 give presentation on intonation is my job. So before we get into detail, we first need to have a clear idea about intonation, that what actually intonation is. So coming to the definition, it is the way the pitch of your voice goes up and down as you talk or reciting something by singing it. So what do we learn from this statement uh, of, of the definition of intonation? It says that when we talk, our voice and the pitch of our voice goes up and down as we talk, as we converse about some topic. So it is basically intonation, our the rise and fall of our voice. So there is an example of intonation: the way your voice raises in pitch at the end of a question. An example of intonation is the Gregorian chant. Intonation in speech. In speech, intonation is the use of changing, rising, and falling. It means changing mean rising and falling. Vocal pitch to convey grammatical information or personal attitude. Intonation is particularly important in expressing questions in spoken English. For example, take the sentence, when does the meeting start? The word start, including the question mark, rises up or comes up in your voice when you utter the word. Notes, the website English pronunciation roadmap. It is basically the reference. So it says that when we ask some questions about anything or any topic, at the end of our, you may say, sentence or statement, our voice goes up, or we can say the pitch of our voice rise. So it is it is actually basically intonation. How can we understand intonation? To understand intonation, it is important to comprehend two of its key terms, that are pitch and chunking. Pitch is the relative highness or lowness of a tone as perceived by the ear, which depends on the number of vibrations per second produced by the vocal cords. Everyone has different level of pitch. Some have higher pitch, some people lower pitch. Means that not all the people shares the same pitch. The pattern of speaking or and the voice the pitch of every person is different. Some people, you may say, speaks louder, and in contrast to them, some speaks in a lower voice. So, coming to the chunking process, pauses and chunks package information for the listener. Speakers divide speech into chunks, which may be single words or group of words, to communicate a thought or idea, or to focus on information the speaker thinks it is important. So it means that to emphasize some idea, some topic, or something that is crucial to raise, or something that is a burning question is being stressed by the speaker, that is chunking process. Without the use of pausing and chunking, it is be hard for listener to follow your meaning, and they may be overwhelmed with too much information. So what does this say actually? When we are speaking or giving description about some topic or some subject, if there is anything important, we normally emphasize or give stress to that particular thing, and that is basically chunking. In order, we emphasize, we stress on that thing in order to attract the attention of the audience, in order to draw the attention of the listeners. Types of intonation we have, there are three types we have of intonation: falling intonation, rising intonation, and the third and the last one is fall rise intonation. Falling intonation is describes how the voice falls on the final stressed syllable of a phrase or a group of words. A falling intonation is very common in WH questions. Yes, right. So falling intonation is that at the end of our sentence, or at the final how the voice falls on the final yes, on the final statement, final syllable, the pitch of our voice falls. So that is falling intonation. Where is the nearest post office? What time does the film finish? So in these sentences, in the first example, nearest post. So after p, after p, we gradually lower the pitch post office. And in second example, finish, not finish, we gradually rise. Uh, we gradually fall our and lower our pitch. Rising intonation is actually the voice rises at the end of a sentence. It is actually the right opposite of the of falling intonation. In this type, the intonation gets in this example, the pitch rises instead of falling. I hear the health center is expanding. So is that the near doctor, doctor, not doctor. It is doctor. Just after just after uttering the word "the," we gradually rise our pitch, doctor. And in the second one, thirsty, not thirsty. And the third example goes like the voice falls and then rise. We use fall rise intonation at the end of statements when we want to say that we are not sure, or when we may have more to add. I don't know. I don't support any football team at the moment, but I may. So at the moment, in this word moment, uh, after the first letter meant. After the first letter, we you can easily see that we gradually lower our pitch and after the second m, our voice goes up. Meant. It rained every day in the first week. In the f, after the letter f, we lower our pitch first, and in the word week, after the pronunciation of v, we gradually rise our pitch. It rained every day in the first week. So it was all about intonation. As I'm a student, there uh, for sure some mistakes. So please try to avoid. Thank you so much.